because I got into this late.
Well, yeah. If you were a woman, you'd be a gilf.
Well, I don't know that I want to out myself this way, but like, I'm.
Ken.
Hey, buddy.
I feel like you were just here.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, I would do it again.
Well, so. You are.
I know. I'm saying again.
So the little inside baseball on this is, for the first time in the show's history, well, not the...
Is it? I know there's an episode that you didn't air.
Oh, no, there's a lot.
Entirely different reasons.
There's a lot of episodes I haven't aired.
Yeah, fair.
I went and did an inventory of them. There's about 12 lost episodes right now over the course of the show.
Yeah.
Yours is number 12, but I think yours is the first one that was lost for just purely technical reasons.
Yeah.
Not a bad show. Actually, did you have a bad show? Was it?
No, it was great. Yeah, no, because remember when you were like, hey, listen, the file got corrupted. The video is like, there were like lines and whatever.
It looked like it was on an old VHS.
Yeah, basically. And like there were parts that got like super digitized and whatever, but like the audio was good for the entire thing. So I actually listened to the whole thing because you were like, do you want to just redo this or should I try to salvage this? And I was like, there is good shit, but like, it's like maybe a half hour or 40 minutes out of the like 2.5 hours that we talked about. Just like, but it was some of the best shit. Like, not that there wasn't other good shit, but it was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, like the corruption was like, oh, right when it's getting good.
Yeah,
like
basically.
It was fucking frustrating.
Yeah, SD cards. What are you gonna do?
Well, I also spent hours with recovery software trying to recover it because
really
straight off the SD it wouldn't play.
Oh wow. So, okay, wow.
Yeah, it wasn't just like
thanks for trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to salvage the episode. I do not enjoy wasting people's time. Like, as much as it's fun to hang and all that shit, I also value your time.
No, of course. Well, I'm dead serious. So just before we started rolling, like we were talking about, like, instead of just scrapping it, like overdubbing it. So we might come back with like just the audio and me and Matt like ad-libbing and pretending to just like, I guess, like, like overdub our own fucking audio and our own dialogue with each other.
Or we could make it really silly and I could play you, you could play me.
Okay, all right, done. Yeah.
We'll just like...
Including the mannerisms and everything.
The mannerisms. Yeah. Like we'll wear each other's like, appropriate costuming.
Cool. Yeah, I'll grow my beard out a little bit more.
I'll trim mine down,
sure.
Put on a wig. My hairline doesn't survive yours.
I have glasses, but yeah.
I'll just say
I wear a hat though. Yeah. Okay. Done. All right.
Either that or we'll find some nerd on the internet. Love you nerds. To do a cartoon of like one of the good stories.
That'd be cool. Oh, instead of us overdubbing it? Yeah. Oh man, that'd be great. That would be great.
Yeah, because people do that shit.
Yeah, it'd be what was that fucking Netflix show? Midnight Gospel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like that. Because that's actually a podcast. And then
it's Sunken Trussell, right?
Ridiculous shit, I guess. I don't remember anymore. I like your glass.
Ah, yes. Van Gogh, I'm classy. Cheers, by the way.
I'm classy. I'm drinking Manhattan.
Right?
Mm-hmm. My first one in a long time.
You weren't dry last time you did the show, but you've been dry for a minute now.
Yeah, can you tell? Yeah. So, I mean, like one, I barely drink anymore. I used to work in the liquor industry and in nightlife for a long time. Was a bartender for a good long time. And I just sort of like burnt myself out on alcohol as a substance, but I still love the flavors and like, so I'll have one every now and then just for taste or like, if it's a celebration, I'll have a glass of champagne or whatever. But for the most part, yeah, it's just not my substance of choice anymore. So yeah, I don't think I've had one in like a month. I didn't drink at all during AVN because like it's so busy during the day. And then you're out at night at whatever, like, parties. And I know some people are like, oh, I don't party at AVN. I'm here for work. But, like, that's nothing to say, against them. Because, like...
I'll have one to say. The parties are part of the job.
That's what I'm saying. So my thing, and I learned this, like, when I was still working in liquor and was going to conventions and shit. Like, my thing is I won't drink. So, like, I'll lose out on a little sleep. And I'll be busy the entire time. But, like, yeah, I actually booked gigs with 2 different companies that I've never worked for before when I met them out at some of the events like at night. Yeah. So it's like, it's valuable networking still, which like, look, if you're already on top and like, you don't need that shit, cool. You don't need the red carpet pics. You don't need to make an appearance. You don't, fine. But like for me, I'm only 2 years in, it was still very helpful. So yeah, it's nice to show face and do a little networking at night too.
I think anyone who thinks missing out on the parties is the right move doesn't understand the job they're in. You look at the top of the game, the Cherie DeVilles and Angela Whites, they're on every fucking carpet.
Yeah.
They're at every one of these major events.
Yeah. Cherie was hosting one of the events.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think either one of them need?
No.
Right.
Or like the media associated with it, or no. But it's like, yeah, showing face is important. But at the same time, like, I'm not going to blame anyone who's like tired from being at a convention all day. And especially if they're in an elevated role during the convention as well. Whatever. It's everyone's thing. But my whole thing is like, yeah, I mean, that's my plan. It's like, oh man.
Just all these technical difficulties, Ken. Right. Every time with you. Yeah. Every time.
You know what? I lost these last time too when you made me laugh.
I'm gonna do my best to not make you laugh this time.
But yeah,
nothing but dead serious podcasting.
Properly, no. Oh yeah. Anyway, so my whole plan was I didn't drink, and like I barely drink anymore anyway. Like I'll have one every week, one every 2 weeks, whatever it is. You know what I mean?
That's sober in Chicago.
Yeah. Well, it's like I'm California sober. You know what I mean? But yeah, but I do still enjoy the flavors. So it's nice to actually like have Manhattan for the first time in a long time.
Oh yeah. I'm drinking just WL Weller Special Reserve on the rocks.
That's what we were drinking last time.
Was it? Oh yeah,
Weller. Yeah.
One of my partners when he came up from Expos brought me 2 more handles. So
do we? Oh, it might be a different handle. I was like,
oh no, it's definitely a different handle. I definitely killed. Once he brought 2 more handles, I'm like, well, I don't have to,
yeah, savor this.
At all.
Yeah. Dude, I left so much of my liquor collection back home in New York when I left and I moved here to do porn. like I'm saying like probably like 50, 60 bottles, something like that.
Do you regret it?
I mean, I barely use them anymore, but it's more like all of the liqueurs and things like that I could replace them. But so it's just like, if I have people over, I can still make plenty of cocktails with what I have. But there's so many more that I could make if I had those little obscure, Also, there were like things that I made. I used to make my own bitters. I have some Amaro, which is like Italian drinking bitters, which I remade, but it's not as good as the last one. But anyway, yeah. And then I had like, I didn't leave anything that was like, I brought all my expensive bottles.
Well, that's a good call.
Yeah. I wrapped them up in blankets and threw them in my like big. I have this like 120-year-old trunk that's like indestructible, which is why it's lasted so long. But other than that, I left everything behind with my good friend, and I don't know what's left.
Probably nothing.
No, yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Judging by most people I know in the bar industry, nothing's left.
Well, he was in industry, but like. He enjoyed a good cocktail. So like, but we'll see. You know what? Some of the more obscure shit though, like I wonder if he just like didn't bother with. I should ask him.
Yeah, I understand. Like a yellow chartreuse is going to last forever.
I actually sold all my chartreuse. That's not a joke. My chartreuse and champagne collection paid for my move.
That's insane. What were you sitting on?
I'll try to figure out how much I can say without divulging too much personal information about me and my former life. Some like good and rare shit. Now the champagne, there like a couple that were like vintage, but not anything that was like obscene. You know what I mean? It was just like, some of the things that were going around that were like, okay, we were releasing this for drinking. You know what I mean? Like. There was like 2015s and shit and like 2018s. It was the normal vintages that they were releasing at the time.
It's shit that would get you to LA, but not shit that would get you fully movers packing your house and get your shit across country for you.
Yeah, well, the chartreuse was though.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So like, yeah.
I didn't know that shit goes for that much money.
I mean, it was more that I had like 5 or 6 bottles. So the real thing is, especially the yellow, but there's so many parts per million of the 130 different roots, barks, herbs, spices, and flowers that are infused into it that it continues to infuse over time. For whatever reason, the yellow changes more drastically than the green over time. So vintage chartreuses are worth a lot because they all age differently, and it's not even like, oh, this batch all age the same. Depending on what weather conditions they're, so if they get shipped to different parts of the world or whatever, they age entirely differently. Heat and sunlight and different things will affect them differently. So like every bottle essentially then is different over time. So I had a few from like a few years back and that I held on to, some of which were unopened, some of which were open, but there was still plenty left. Yeah, so selling my chartreuse and my champagne paid for my move from New York to LA, which was a no-brainer at that point. Because especially like what I was most worried about was just shit breaking, which the champagne especially, like that's just volatile.
Yeah. Oh,
So I'm like, it's not gonna be worth it me like just putting it on a moving truck. If it was something that was specifically designed for liquor, you know what I mean? And then it's also like, what am I putting it in, just like a normal like wine case, just cardboard is, depending on how they throw it on the moving van, if they put my couch on top of it or whatever, you know what I mean? Like
ruin a bunch of shit.
But yeah, exactly. And then ruin a bunch of other shit that all leaks onto, or if the champagne explodes and there's fucking shards of glass and everything, and it's just like, yeah. So I took my most expensive bottles, wrapped them in blankets and threw them in my trunk, and that's what I have, and that's it.
See, when I did my cross country move, it was just like, okay, the shit that's really valuable, the shit that's really fragile, that came in the car with me.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even risking that with the truck.
Yeah,
it's just like no. This is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to even risk it. It's just going to go in my car. Driving my car out, I didn't ship my car, so I moved to the West Coast in probably the dumbest way possible. I moved into an apartment sight unseen, and initially just drove my valuable shit out.
Yeah.
In my car, and then flew back to Chicago 2 weeks later and got the truck with the rest of the shit.
Yeah. But that's like kind of romantic, the sight unseen thing. You were just like, I'm going to LA, and you just like,
well, I went to Vegas first.
Oh, fair.
Well, it was one of those things. I actually flew out to Vegas a couple months before I moved out there, and I was looking at houses because a couple other people from Chicago were like, oh yeah, no, I want to move west too.
Mm-hmm.
I did all the legwork, found a couple places that were dope, and then when it was time to like, hey, let's sign this lease, they're like, I don't think I'm leaving Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, cool. Well, that severely reduces how much money I can spend a month.
Yeah.
Hey, this apartment's in the neighborhood where my friends live. Fuck it.
Yeah. Nice.
It worked out all right. I was in that place for technically 2 years. So
yeah.
Just starter Vegas apartment. Like,
sure. I mean, shit, when I moved here, I did it in stages too, but it was like 6 months in between. Actually, even then, it was like I came out here thinking that I would just be here for the winter and then maybe be bi-coastal. I wasn't sure. I didn't think, I wasn't sure. I didn't think I was moving to LA at all. Like, I thought I would be here. I was basically planning on being bi-coastal, right? So I still had my apartment in New York. And then I came here, went to AVN, talked to a bunch of porn agents, got really 3 contract offers, and then made my choice, signed, and realized just the way that the industry went and how it functioned, that there was no way I could go back. Like, I had to be here to cement my career. Like, you got to be like we were just saying off camera, like, especially as a guy and as a new guy, like, people were more willing to take a chance on me if like they needed a last minute replacement. So like, if you're not here to get those last minute gigs, like, your career doesn't get started in the first place. Now I'm at the point where like, I'm getting booked from me, right? Not just, shit, we need a guy, right?
Ken will do. He's here.
Yeah, it's like, is he breathing? Does he have a penis? So
does his penis work?
Yeah, basically that's it. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, we need a stunt cock ASAP. So I came out here, and then within 5 days realized I had just moved to LA. And I was like, oh shit. And I did that like 5 stages of grief thing where I was like, oh, but I could still hang on to my apartment in New York, and then like maybe I'll be there like 2 months out of the year, and it's just like, what am I, fucking like landlord now? I was just like,
Well-
and being literally entirely across the country from like whatever, like no, it doesn't make any fucking sense. So
Well,
yeah,
tell that to our mutual that still has an apartment in Chicago but lives in Tennessee all the time.
yeah.
Every time he's like, "Oh yeah, my apartment in Chicago." I'm like, "What the fuck, dude? You still have a place in Chicago? Why?"
Why? Yeah. Yeah,
Love that
but
dude,
in that life, I've known people that did that shit. But eventually, like I had a friend who was like traveling so much that he was like in New York like 90 days a year, and so he got like an apartment in like North Carolina or some shit. So he was like still in the same time zone, and that was just like that's where his stuff lived. But it didn't make sense to like be paying New York rent if he's not even there.
Well, it's why with Vegas, I was technically in that apartment for 2 years. After 2 years, because I was traveling so much for what my Joe job was at the time, I put my shit in storage for a year and a half because I was just there so infrequently. I'm like, why am I paying rent at all?
Yeah.
And hell, I wouldn't have even re-signed the lease after the first year. But my roommate at the time was like, dude, I really can't afford to be out on my own. Like, can you do me a solid and, keep the apartment? I'm like, sure, man. And then he moved out fucking 6 months later. I'm like, cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah. I did you a solid.
And
yeah.
you completely fucked me on it.
Fucking abandoned me.
Like, this has been basically your apartment for last year. I'm paying half on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking
frustrating. Now for me, it was like, I came out here and it was just like, had to figure out something to do. So like I was subletting first, like, in North Hollywood, like got like an Airbnb for like a month or 6 weeks or some shit. And then found something more permanent. That was the next like 4 months. In between there, I like went back to New York to grab more of my shit, especially because like, in porn, we supply our own wardrobe most of the time. So like I had to go and get more clothes and have them sent out here because it was like, we need you in a suit. And like the first time I like, all right, I'll go buy another suit. But then it was like at a certain point, it's just a little ridiculous. I'm like, all right, well, like all my shit is there. I miss my friends real quick. I'm going to go for a long weekend and ship my shit back out here. So I literally shipped the rest of my clothing back out here. And then whatever, after 6 months, my lease was up. I had extended the subletters for the duration of the lease. Went back to New York, took like 2 weeks to see everybody, do all the things. I think I, at one point, ate pizza like 4 out of 6 days. Because I was just doing like pizza tour of my like favorite New York spots. And yeah, and then like moved out here, and that was it. Like, put all my stuff in the back of a truck, and yeah.
And here you are. You miss New York at all?
I miss my people, and I miss certain aspects of it. I miss the social life, and like people just have a higher level of like conversational skills there, and that's something that's definitely missing in LA. And I know when like Europeans come here and I film with them, they say the same thing because they're like, New York is very much like a global city, and LA is like much more American. And there's a weird thing that happens here where like people don't talk to each other when you're out, which is funny because like I get like, okay, if you just want to go out and like hang with your friends, but like if you do really only want to be with your friends, you can just like go over to one of your friends' places and hang out, right? So, which granted, like if you want to go dancing, okay, that's different, cool. But people in LA also don't dance, which, but they like they don't know how to talk to strangers, and it's not even that they don't know how to talk to strangers. They almost feel like accosted if you try talking to them, and it's like. So I guess the other thing I'm saying is like, all right, if you do really just want to talk to your friends, cool. But like most people are at least conceptually open to like meeting cool, fun people when you're out. It's like, okay, we have the same taste in DJs or whatever. We're like going to the same place. We like
exactly. We're in the same place.
Yeah. And so everywhere else in the world, at least like major cities, like people are open to like talking to other people. And like, you're at the bar waiting for a drink. You just make conversation with the person next to you. And like, you'll be laughing, joking around, whatever. Like here, like I was at a Halloween party with 2 industry friends. It was a whole like industry Halloween party, but there were a bunch of like influencers and other people there that aren't, right? So my one friend turns to this girl that's walking by with her boyfriend, and she like compliments her costume. And the girl just looks at her like, what? She's like, no, you look like really cute. That's a great outfit. And she just goes, what? And then so she like turns to the boyfriend. She's like, she looks great. And he was just like, what? Like they couldn't get past, why is this person I don't know speaking to me, to even process what she's saying. And literally all she's doing is complimenting this girl on her fucking like costume, outfit, whatever. And like they literally could not process like, wait, why is this person I don't know speaking to me? It was the craziest fucking thing. And I see it happen all the time. And when I used to visit here a lot, I used to think that like people were like aloof and that they thought they were too cool. And after like 2 weeks of living here, I realized I had it entirely wrong. They're all fucking wallflowers. They don't know how to talk to people, and they're like nervous and anxious and insecure. It's not that they think that they're too cool. They're pretending to be like too cool to talk to you because they're actually like too nervous to speak to anybody. It's so weird.
Well, I have a bunch of theories on that.
Yeah.
One, because of the apartment sizes in New York, people are just forced out into the wild.
Yes.
So like
you're on top of each other all the time. Everyone walks everywhere. So even like between the bars and restaurants is like a social scene. You're totally correct on that. Yeah.
You're in the subway having to socially interact with people of, you know, from the rich to the poor. Like,
yep. Yeah.
Versus here, everyone's in their car, everyone's isolated.
Yeah.
And then you add in, I'm assuming some of these people are younger Gen Z people that I feel like Gen Z is the fucking worst.
Yes, they're worst because social media and they're like not actually interacting with each other as much.
As the two old white dudes are like, the youngins.
No, but it's a problem.
It is.
Gen Z is having less sex than any generation in human history.
Which is wild.
Yeah, like we're imitating like that weird like Japanese shut-in culture, and like social media is definitely a big part of it. Like you can also say like general anxiety about the world and economics and whatever, it plays into it as well, you know.
Guess it's free if you
and the kids that fucking went through COVID and shit and like, you know, were genuinely isolated for a year, and their socialization and their fucking development like came to a halt for a minute.
Oh, for sure. But guess what's free? Fucking is free.
Yeah.
Like you can be broke as fuck and fuck.
Well, not if you live with your parents. It's a lot harder. I've had to deal with that, like talking to, so I got into this as a sex educator, and I used to do private coaching. I still do, by the way, if you want to hit me up. I'm not sure.
Like you have time for that?
Yeah, exactly. Which is why it's on the back burner. But the point is, you know, some of my clients that I was helping through various issues when they were younger and they were, you know, I was helping with their dating and sex lives. You know, they would bring up like, what do I do? Like I live with my parents. How do we like find ways around this? And
Put a sock on the handle? Fuck.
No, man. Like it sounds ridiculous. Fuck on the floor. Because beds make noise and couches make noise. Yeah. Fuck on the floor.
I mean,
that's a big thing.
What kind of relationship do you have with your parents if they're like going to 86 you from the house?
I mean, they might. I don't fucking know.
Oh,
people have like, you know,
weird fucking
religious fucking hang-ups and whatever else.
So I'm happy to have grown up in a household where it's just like, I'd rather you fuck under my roof than be out in the wilds doing it.
Yeah, but not everyone feels that way. Or yeah, I don't know.
Or it's just uncomfortable.
Or the girl's nervous because, you know, like, oh, I don't want them to hear me, and then they're gonna, you know,
spend $100 on a motel room.
Or that. Yeah. Yeah. But it's something to work around. I mean, point is, all right, we got totally off track.
On this? No, on this show, never.
So Gen Z's having less sex than anybody. And yeah, you are right that like there is a little bit of social isolation. What the social isolation?
You've had half a Manhattan.
I'm not drunk. I'm just fucking.
I know. I'm making you nervous. You become an Angelino, and you're now anxious to have a real conversation.
Exactly.
Oh God, Matt's.
Why is this guy talking to me?
Why did he set up microphones on the camera?
Why do I have these headphones on? What is this? Yeah, but like, it sounds like I'm shitting on LA. LA doesn't dance. No one knows how to fucking talk to strangers. Like, people are fucking awkward. But you're right. Like, the bubble is a big part of it. That the way LA is set up, you're either in your house, in your car, or at your destination, versus New York or like walking cities in Europe, which like cities outside of America, because this is really the only place outside of the from the Midwest on that was designed around the car, which is ridiculous. Everywhere else, they're walking everywhere and they're taking public transportation. So you're meeting people all the time, and there's a lot more like spontaneity and serendipity, and you discover things and you walk around and you bump into people and whatever, right? And here, yeah, you're isolated until you're at the place. And so yeah, like people don't necessarily know how to like meet people or talk to other people, but and LA doesn't dance and all that. It sounds like I'm shitting on this place. I will say this outright. Like those are my gripes with this place. On the flip side, I fucking love it here. I love it here, and I actually didn't think I would. I've always liked it here, and I've spent a lot of time here. But every time after like the fourth day, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, this place again. No, fuck this shit." And people have been trying to get me to move here for like 15 years, and yeah, but something would always come up. I'm like, "Yeah, fuck this shit," and like a lot of it was based around like the walking or the lack of public transportation. I thought I would hate driving more than I did. Also, like it has a reputation that people are generally like vapid and lazy and stupid, which like
That's everywhere though. That's just America.
but more so here, like, look, in New York, you can be like IQ stupid, but you better be fucking street fart and street smart and savvy. Did I just say street fart? I
You
really
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That one's going on the show.
It is. Oh, I'm not going to dig that out.
Yeah.
That's the subtitle of the episode. It feels street fart.
So you have to be street smart and like savvy because like everyone has to fucking hustle because it's so expensive and like the pace is like that and the demand, every job, like it's so competitive. You can't be a fuck up, you know? And but on the flip side, like, okay, yeah, that exists here, but like, you know, thinking back to New York, like shit, most of New York is fucking finance douchebags and lawyer assholes.
Especially these days.
Yeah. Yeah, especially these days, the more and more expensive it gets. Oh, now there's fucking like tech bros there too. But yeah, it's like, you know, whatever, you find your people. And like here, I have definitely found my people to an extent that I never could have imagined before I came here. And on top of that, like I love this industry. I love the people in this industry. They're my people too. And like genuine friends. And even if it, you know, even if it's somebody that I like don't make plans with or whatever, like people who I really enjoy like hanging out and talking with at industry events and like that I get along with on set, like almost everyone is awesome.
Cheers to that, by the way.
Right?
Sorry, like I consider you that. I know I'm a piece of shit about like following up at times, but
no, but yeah, it's like it's great to have like industry friends. Like one, because like our lives are so unique and interesting and different. But like, yeah, it's just nice to have found a home here.
I think that is everyone who works in this industry or works in entertainment in general understands that shit. Like no one takes it personally. Like, why the fuck haven't I heard from this person in weeks or months? It's like, because everyone's on their fucking grind. Everyone's on a hustle. Like nobody in porn, even the top of the game in porn, has a free moment to fucking breathe.
Mm-hmm.
We're all content fucking creators. And it's just like
you're trying to maximize every minute. Like you can't, like, not that I haven't taken a day off, but it's like, yeah, I look ahead at my calendar and like I literally worked every day this past week. If you want to consider this work,
this is work.
But yeah, and then I did a bunch of prep today for the feature that I'm about to be in starting tomorrow morning. And so the next 2 weeks are absolutely slammed. Any day that I have off that is a scene that I'm not in for that flick, I'm shooting OnlyFans or like making content because like I'm about to do a whole bunch of interesting things with my social media and whatever else. But
what are you doing?
Well, you'll see.
Well, this is going to be out. Well, I'm pushing this actually way up. Normally, things that are being recorded right now aren't coming out for months, but I'm
cool.
because I owe you your episode being out by now. I'm fucking. I have it slated to come out in March.
It's not a secret. It's more just like I'm trying not to like hype it up too much, but like, so the direction that everything is headed is like you need to make safe for work content. Instagram keeps putting more and more controls on.
It's only going to get worse.
Yes. That said, I always I know I was joking around about it that like I don't have time to do the private coaching anymore, but I always intended to do both like the sex education work and sex positivity along with porn and OnlyFans and all the other shit, right? So I'm going to start doing more of that. And like it's already starting to happen. And like one, it just makes sense to do because like, you know, the thirst trap shit got me fucking deleted a second time. Oh. But it's also like, it's important, and these are interesting and fun and important things to talk about right now. And it's also like a great way to, I guess, give a platform to other performers or other people who are doing interesting things in this space, whether it's like, I have friends who are other like non-monogamous sex coaches, or like I know a bunch of DOMs. Like there are people who do really interesting things, and there are things that it teaches you about humanity and like psychology that other areas don't, and also like human connection, and which is really what it's about,
Oh, for sure.
um
And
so
alleviate some boredom.
yeah, exactly. Oh, definitely. Or just give you a dopamine hit and some serotonin, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I'm gonna get more into the sex positivity, positive masculinity shit that I was intending to do in the first place.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wonder. I'm sure there's a study out there of like what the actual chemical reactions to BDSM are, and like the chemical reactions in your brain.
So I have a friend back in New York who is getting her doctorate in psychiatry, and her doctoral thesis is on the convergence of neurodivergence and BDSM.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
That's a spicy topic right there.
Sure is. Well, and I joke when I first came into the industry, and I was like, "Are you into BDSM, or do you have autism and just like sensory issues and stimmies?" And and it's like it's both. It's kind of it is like there's no separating it really. But yeah, those of us who are neurospicy are more likely to engage in BDSM.
First and foremost, I think everyone's neurospicy. Do you know anyone who's actually neurotypical?
Well, yes. In regular life, but not in porn. And
really,
well, no, I've met a handful of people in porn that have zero diagnoses.
Well, diagnosis and actually being neurospicy are two separate things.
Yeah, fair, but like I do know that when I say a handful, I mean there's hundreds of people in this industry. I've met a handful that are actually just straight.
I don't believe there's a single mammal. I don't believe there's a single Homo sapien who's truly neurotypical.
I mean, that's a good point, because like, what's baseline, right? Yeah.
Baseline's a textbook from the 50s.
Sure. And like, who hasn't had some form of trauma? Like some people, I guess. I don't know.
Well, but I feel like there's people that have had trauma and people that don't realize they've had trauma.
Yes, that's very true. The craziest people, the people that think they're sane. Yeah. And they're like, there's nothing wrong with me, and they're like wildly like emotionally volatile, and like
this is just how you act,
not self-aware in any fucking way. But yeah, so like backpedaling on that, one of my favorite things was like when I got into this industry and I realized that like 85% of us, give or take, it's not a formal poll, but from everyone I've asked, somewhere around there, are all ADHD, and like, which I am too, like especially severe hyperactivity, but it makes sense when you break it down, because like we're physically hyperactive, and we need a lot of stimulation and frequent stimulation, and the combination of those things, hypersexuality is I guess
a symptom.
Yeah, like a sub symptom, if that makes sense. Yeah, because of the combination of those things, right?
I'm sorry, like. Completely, my brain went to a point where, like, when I was being interviewed by a psychiatrist in high school about ADHD, and I just popped in my head of them asking me. This didn't actually happen, but just imagining being like, "So, do you like to fuck?"
Yeah, do you like to fuck often?
Like, how much do you like to fuck?
Yeah, like often and hard, right?
Right.
Sorry, with some fucking BDSM involved, because you're neurospicy. Yeah. But it makes sense. And I was like, oh, these are my people. Yeah, of course.
My first AVN when I was still a civilian, it was just like, oh, I fit in here. This is where I belong. Mm-hmm. One of those things was like just ended up there on a lark. It was just like, oh, that'd be hilarious to go to.
Yeah.
And then just like, oh, wow, found my people.
Yeah. And it's not just the industry either. Because like when I say that I've like found my people out here, like I have a very large friend group that I was very lucky to meet like the first week I got here. And that's a lot of people's complaint about LA, is that it takes a while to make friends.
Oh.
And for me, I jumped that line somehow. I was very, very lucky. But like, again, same thing. Most of them have ADHD. It's like my whole like non-monogamous like sex party crew. The civilian sluts.
Yeah.
As opposed to the professional sluts.
we're just high-ranked amateurs.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Hi. Yes, they are.
No, one of my friends when I first moved to town was like, "No, it takes 5 years in this town to find your tribe," which I have found to be pretty accurate. And I love it here. I love it here. I've been here over a decade, and I have no intention of leaving. But one of the biggest things that bummed me out about the pandemic was a lot of people that were my tribe fucking called it quits. Like because I do feel it's important to have civilian friends, have friends outside the industry, and a lot of my civvy friends just fucking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if there's no industry like keeping them here, if it was like a work from home situation, like, oh yeah, then why am I paying LA rent? Why, like, or just, they wanted a more like rural existence or whatever it is.
Well, it was a handful of like, well, some were bartenders, some were comedians. It was just like, oh, well, I can move to Austin and still perform, or I can move to a bunch of other cities in America
Miami.
Yeah, Nashville, Miami, other parts of Florida, Austin, like people spread, and a bunch of people tried to talk me into moving to Austin. I'm just like, what the fuck am I going to do in Austin?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I live in LA.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you're in the industry.
Right.
It's like, yeah. I mean, you could go to Vegas again or Miami.
I'm never moving. I spent 6 months in Miami in 2012 for my Joe job.
Yeah.
I do not like Miami. I'm not a fan. Going back for the first time in a decade for XBiz Miami last year was just like, oh man, I kind of miss it here. And then by the end of XBiz Miami, I'm like, I want to go back to LA now. 4 days was enough. But there was just a moment when I got off the plane, felt humidity for the first time in forever. I was like, oh yeah, I kind of miss this. Oh, I miss, and then I'm just like, no, I do not. I'm just rose-colored glasses like fucking 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Fucking get me back to LA, please, quickly.
Honestly, like I'm not a Florida person. I cannot. And I whatever. You know what? I objectively love LA. And I was shitting on it before, so I don't know why I'm holding out Florida. Fuck Florida. Like, fuck that shit. They portray the way Miami is portrayed in the fucking media. And it's like when you're in some of the like cooler parts, it is that. But like, dude, it is fucking like swamp people and like face eating fucking like meth heads and like I think the thing that and people there will admit this is a real phenomenon in Miami where people will be driving fucking Lamborghinis and then their apartment is like scary.
Yeah.
like a tiny like fucking sugar shack, fucking like lock doesn't work on the door, like in the scariest part of fucking town. And it's like their entire life is about showing off, but to an extent that they're showing off shit that they don't fucking have. And it's like, dude, I'd rather have like a nice home. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like my car is utilitarian. It's not that I wouldn't drive a nice car or like, you know what I mean? But I'm not, the whole point is, it's not like they're a fucking race car driver and that they really love to drive. What they really love is people seeing them in an expensive car.
Right. It's all about the projection of success.
Yeah. It's like, and you take a girl home to this like scary ass fucking place and like.
And then at that point, it's like, why do you own a Lamborghini? You can't fuck in a Lamborghini. If you have a shitty ass apartment and a Lamborghini, you gotta just put the money out to buy a hotel room at that point.
Yeah, no, dude, I got a dope ass apartment. Like I'll take like you live in a nice place, dude. You got a fucking balcony too. You know what I mean? Yeah, with a view. It's like it's nice to be at home and have like comfortable surroundings, Like, yeah, I wouldn't trade it. I've got a nice place. I'm very happy there. Like, yeah, and also just I can't do that fucking like Miami shit, like the CNB scene shit.
Well, and also there's no fucking dive bars in that fucking city.
Yeah.
I know this firsthand. Like the only dive bar I could find in the 6 months I was down there is a place called Churchill's in Little Haiti. It is a shit part of town.
Where?
In Little Haiti. Yeah, it is not a great part of town. It is a divey punk bar, and I don't think it even exists anymore. But in 2012, it's like, this is the only place I could find my people. I know there's a metal scene down there, but it was just like, this is all clubs and lounges, which is not my jam.
Yeah, I mean, that's the scene there, though. And it's like, I don't know. whatever. Like, I mean, and it's not that shit isn't cool. Like there is, yeah, but it's just like, but it's one note. You know what I mean? There's not a variety. Because New York, I mean, there's plenty of clubs and lounges. There's tons of cocktail bars and Michelin star restaurants.
And there's also a little weird hole in the wall fucking bars.
Yeah, fucking like tiny little grungy punk bars that like with a fucking inch of standing water in the fucking bathroom and shit. I mean, some of those places are closed down by now, but it's like, yeah, I mean, you can still find, or just like a comfortable little like dive bar where you can get like, you know, cheap beers on tap, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There was some punk bar that I ended up at. Jesus, this has to be over a decade ago in New York. Still sawdust on the fucking floor, and this is in Manhattan. Just fucking.
Wait, sawdust on the floor?
Yeah, there was fucking sawdust on the floor.
Yeah, then that would have been the what? Oh my god, I'm embarrassing myself now. There's a really old beer bar that's been around since like the 1840s, and they make their own beer. There's only 2 beers, the light and the dark.
Nice.
I can remember.
But also like the Continental, which was just dirt cheap shots.
Did you ever go to Mars Bar?
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of fucking Mars Bar.
There you go.
There it is.
It's closed now.
Yeah.
It's somewhere. I think it was the year before the pandemic.
Yeah, I remember someone
closed on
posting
its own,
about
but-
closed on its own.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mars Bar, the Continental.
Yeah, the Continental.
I have a shirt. I'm pretty sure I still have a shirt somewhere. It's just like, 5 shots, $10 or some shit like that.
Yep. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't even like, oh, the Continental. And then there was like a sign in the window advertising that, or that was like a happy hour deal. It was the sign.
Yeah.
That was the sign of the bar. Like, yeah.
I remember going there in 2011 and we were there with 3 friends. So it's like we played rock, paper, scissors to see who got the 5th shot.
Oh, God.
Drunk.
Yeah.
There's a photo somewhere out there from Igor, who does Driven by Boredom, of Veruca James just pissing in the middle of the street in Manhattan after that night. It was a good night.
Nice. Nice.
Just hikes her skirt.
And just piss in the middle of the street. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely like the shit you see in New York. I used to joke around that like you're not because people are like, oh, you're not a real New Yorker until you live there for 10 years. I'm like, you're not a real New Yorker until a homeless person has jerked off to you. like I've literally seen like some old woman just like, I guess she wasn't gonna make it home, and she just like pulled up against the wall and took a shit. Like you just see. I mean, all the most ridiculous, because everyone, like you said, everyone's on top of you, but it'll make you do fucked up shit because you're just like, because you don't have that bubble here where I'm like, oh, I actually don't mind driving that much. It's like a little bit of alone time and quiet time, and I listen to more music now because I can just play my tunes and get to set, whatever. New York, you're like around people all the time, and people are fucking crazy because like there's so much noise and overstimulation. And like now when I go back, I'm like, oh my God, this is stressing me out. Like, I don't know how I dealt with this, but like, so you just kind of like put yourself in your own bubble. That's why people think that New Yorkers are mean. We're really just like callous because you got to like take your personal space even when you're in public. So you kind of just got to like put blinders on and like tune people out. It's not that you're like uncaring, but you kind of just gotta like, so this is fucked up. I came to meet some friends for lunch at this like little like whatever like falafel place, and I walk in and they're like hiding their heads, and I was just like, what's going on? They're like, dude, you have no idea what just happened. We walked in here and there's this dude passed out like on the front steps, like right in front of the door, and we assumed he's like some drunk, some homeless dude, whatever. He like passed out on the steps. So we like step over him and come into the restaurant, and then we sit down, and after like 5 seconds the waitstaff is like, oh no, Gary. It was a regular who like fainted on his way out.
Oh shit.
And they like, this guy needed help, and they just assume like,
oh, he's on meth, or he's on heroin or some shit,
dude. Yeah, because this is the East Village, and like there were I mean, I used to count how many times a week I would see someone like just falling on their feet in a heroin nod. Like, and it was like, I probably averaged like 4 or 5. And they would just like be walking and then just slowly like leaning back. And then they would kind of catch themselves and then they would almost fall, and they'd be like halfway slumped over, and then they catch themselves and just, whatever. So yeah, they thought he was like a junkie or a drunk or something, and it turns out it was this like middle-aged man who needed help. But he got help. I mean, the staff saw it and they were like, no, I mean, I don't think so. But
you didn't follow up.
I didn't. Hey, do you remember that guy that my friends stepped over callously because they assumed
did Gary make it
drunk or on drugs? I don't know, but like, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, they were like horrified because they were like, this person needed help, and like New York has conditioned us to just like step over that dude.
I don't think that's New York. I feel like that's any major city.
I guess, but yeah, they felt pretty bad.
But I feel like comparably between New York and LA, a New Yorker is much more likely to help you if you're actually in need.
Yeah. I was just talking about this on set the other day. I was shooting for Penthouse with Jesse Pony, and I think she had been in New York, but she didn't really get to explore. And I was like, yo, I used to work in nightlife. I'll like tell you where to go. I'll hook you up, whatever. And she was saying something about like, oh, someone told her not to walk around. I was like, what? She's like, no, it seemed safe because people are walking around all the time. I was like,
how would you get around in New York if you weren't walking?
Yeah, and the director's like, it's not fucking safe there. I was like, actually, statistically, like the entire time I lived there, including through now, it is literally the safest city in America. There's less crime and less violent crime per capita than anywhere in the country of the top 10 most populous cities. The real thing is there's witnesses everywhere and people to help you because people are out all the time. Like, when you're the only one on the block, that's when you're going to get mugged. You know what I mean? But
also, you're an idiot. Like, if you're out at 3 o'clock in the morning on Hollywood Boulevard, you're an idiot if you don't see it coming.
Yeah, just like have your wits about you.
Yeah. I'm not here to victim blame, but like, I often walk home at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's just like, oh, hey.
But you're also a dude and a big dude.
This is true. But I also have my wits about me and don't assume that knife will equalize things real quick.
Yeah, fair.
I'm not. Yes. I'm not proud enough. I am not.
Yeah,
I don't have an ego. Like if it's like I'm gonna cross the street because that looks like a mentally unstable person who may do me harm, and
just don't be naive about it.
Right.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, well, whatever. Point is, I was like trying to, I guess, not arguing, but I was like, no, it's actually not like that. And they're like, well, what about the subway? And I was like, okay, fair. Like, for whatever fucking reason, people have been getting pushed onto the fucking subway tracks ever since COVID, and like, it hasn't let up. And it's like the subway used to be super fucking safe. You never had to worry. You never had to watch your back.
No,
people are like waiting for the train with fucking back against the wall and shit. It's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Even when the subway was super safe, every time I've been on New York subway, it's like hell. And the L in Chicago, it's just like, you keep your wits about you. You're in public. There's just shit going on. It's what you have to do. It's fucking tragic, yes, that people are getting fucking assaulted on the fucking subway in fucking New York, but you 100% need to keep your wits about you when you're in public. It's just one of those things. That's just life in human society. It doesn't matter New York, LA, whatever. Statistically, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah,
but don't make yourself a fucking victim. Is really I don't want to.
Yes, but the walking around thing really does help. Like, I spent some time in South Africa, and they told us not to walk around alone. I ended up hooking up with this girl and walking home from her house.
Were you in Joburg or Cape Town?
I was in Pretoria at the time.
Okay.
I realized in the walk home that the mentality of like, it's dangerous, don't go out at night was the problem, especially like living in New York at the time and seeing that contrast, right? Like, so if anything, it was like, okay, well, of course you're in danger here. Cause like, if you are out and someone starts shit, there's literally no one to help. You're on your own. And like, and obviously that's a massive contrast. Also, like the way they do crime is very different. They're not like, they don't show you the knife and be like, give me all your money. They just stab you a bunch of times and then take your shit. So like really fucking, if you're in South Africa, really fucking keep your wits about you.
Oh, I went to Cape Town in 2015. Like, yeah, it's the only place internationally I've ever had a crime committed against me, and I just got pickpocketed.
Yeah, fair.
And I know exactly who did it too.
I had a 4-year-old girl try to pickpocket me in Beijing.
Well, shit.
That was fucked up. And her mom was like at the other end of the block, like instructing her what the fuck to do.
Well, yeah, she didn't learn those skills on her own.
No, of course not. It was still like super depressing and fucked up. And I was like, God, I'm not mad at the little girl. I was mad at the fucking mom. But.
Well, for sure. And obviously, no one's doing that unless they're desperate.
Wait, can I tell you a fucking story?
Of course.
Oh my God. So this is a Chicago story. So
when
we're talking about one, crime, and also like places that we've lived and whatever, I'm gonna say this. This is gonna fucking ruffle some feathers, right? So now I was dunking on LA a little bit, even though I absolutely love this place. I love my life here. I absolutely love New York, although I do believe that living there for an extended period of time gives you low levels of PTSD just from like the sheer overstimulation and fucking pressure and everything. Fuck Florida. But
throw that in.
I'm recapping for everybody. But yo,
ADHD, I understand. They don't have attention spans for this whole podcast.
Chicago has good things going for it, but fuck Chicago. It's super fucked up. It's segregated.
Super.
It's segregated. It is a segregated city in the north. And they think that they're so progressive, and it's like they're like half the shit is fucking backwards. And like,
go to Canaryville. See how progressive it is.
Oh, totally. Like, Midwesterners are so nice. That's their like big thing. It's like, like like unless they run into a black person. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm being real. Like and still at the same time, it's like compared to like Detroit and Cleveland and St. Louis, where like the white flight was so bad in the middle of the 1900s that like those three cities became a majority black overnight, right? Chicago didn't. So like, but
still mad segregated.
Yeah, because there's a line. People still live in the city. White people still live in the city, but there's a fucking line.
Oh yeah,
right?
Except for little pockets on the south side. If you get south of fucking Madison, shit gets weird.
Yeah, and like, yeah. Anyway,
well, I know for a fact. Like, but on the flip side, stopping for Maxwell Polish off 290 in the middle of the night, people are just like, "Why are you here?" What a fucking Polish.
Yeah.
That's how.
I know people who are just like driving through the city and like white kids, and cops would stop them. And they're like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" Because they assume they're like there to buy drugs or some shit. It's literally just like you're passing through, and they're like, "Get the fuck out of here right now."
I got rolled. This has to be early 2000s. I got rolled in Little Village.
Yeah.
By CPD, going to meet a buddy of mine for coffee. We were going to go do something, but he lived in Pilsen at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We met up in Little Village. We were supposed to meet up at a coffee shop. I got off. I took the L down there.
Mm-hmm.
And got fucking rolled by CPD. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, why are you even here?
Yeah, why are you in this neighborhood? Like,
I'm a person in a city. Yeah, dude.
I'm getting coffee.
Yeah, but that's also like, I mean, shit. The other side of that too is like, it's not just like culturally. Like, that shit is a fucking police state. Fuck the Chicago PD. Yeah, I said it.
Don't go back.
Oh. Whatever. So what are they gonna recognize? My fucking teenage mugshots, please. Anyway,
I have a couple of Chicago cops that are friends that do watch the show. So
all right. Well, listen, it's not that there aren't good and this goes for overall. This isn't just Chicago. It's not that there aren't good people who can be cops. It's that it is a corrupt system where they are asked to do fucked up shit like racial profiling and all sorts of like extra constitutional shit that they break the law constantly. And then, you can't just say like, oh, a few bad apples, whatever. It's like there is a brotherhood of like protecting each other that goes on too, where like that corruption's never going to root out. That is not just Chicago. That is also like the entire rest of the United States, that almost all of our police. Yeah, no, they are held in the rest of the world. If cops kill somebody, they go to jail. Most of the time, if cops kill somebody in this country, they do not go to jail.
But how many places in the world can you easily bribe cops to get out of things?
That's fair. Yeah. All right. So it's not that there isn't corruption, but it's like
there's degrees of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Hell,
right. That absolutely exists.
My coaching for South Africa is keep 100 Rand in your pocket in case you run into law enforcement to buy your way out of whatever happens.
Sure. I mean, in Eastern Europe, that's the norm. Obviously, like south of America, that's very common. Sure. But yeah, I mean, shit, the Chicago PD had a fucking CIA black site where they would torture false confessions out of people, and when it got discovered, it just got shut down. No one got in trouble. it just got shut down.
Oh, for sure.
Like, so that shit that doesn't exist in LA, that doesn't exist in New York, doesn't exist in New Orleans.
We hope.
Yeah,
we
right?
hope.
Or it
We
just hasn't been
fucking hope.
discovered. Right. Anyway, so I'm done ducking on Chicago. This is a funny story about how fucked up Chicago is. Right, is what I thought is. All right. So I had a friend. A friend of a friend was visiting him. Is his buddy from college. After we all graduated, he comes to Chicago to stay with my friend. And, you know, my buddy's working during the day. So he like did a bunch of touristy shit and wandered around, whatever. And one day he's going through like Old Town and seeing some of that shit. And he's like, oh, I'm going to take the entire day and I'm going to walk through the whole city. And he thought he was going to, oh yeah, you know where this is going. You know,
decided to take Western or some shit.
You know where this is going. So he walks south towards downtown, right? And unbeknownst to him, he's going through Cabrini Green, which now doesn't exist, which tells you how bad this place was.
Well,
but at the time, it was one of the 3 worst projects in all of America. And the other one was
Robert Taylor
Robert
Homes.
Taylor, also in Chicago.
Right.
Yeah. Henry Horner is like, oh shit. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. Right. Like, yeah. So anyway, I mean, whatever. So Cabrini Green, notoriously like super fucked up, scary projects. And so this dude doesn't know where he is, and he's walking through there trying to get to downtown because you can see all the skyscrapers. And this dude starts approaching him. He thinks, you know, he's just gonna walk past each other. As soon as he gets to the dude, he pulls a gun and he's like, strip. And so he just, it starts taking everything out of his pockets, takes off his sneakers, you know, belt, whatever. As he starts to take off his pants, this other dude starts like creeping up behind the other guy, and he just figures like, oh, it's his accomplice, whatever, right? The dude just walks up quietly behind the other guy and sucker punches him and knocks him out, and picks up the gun and puts it in his back pocket, and he's like, I can get you out of here, but it's gonna cost you.
Fuck.
So this enterprising young man, you know what I mean? He saw the situation and he's like, I can both get paid and get a gun. And like, this dude doesn't even know I'm coming. Literally just sucker punched him from behind, knocked him out cold.
The confidence on that. Can you imagine how that would have gone if he cracked him and like, what the fuck?
Yeah, if he didn't knock him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's got a gun on him, or yeah.
And now there's witnesses. Or there was.
Yeah. Or there was. Yeah, exactly. No, they're both wasted.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just growing up in the city, it's just like, oh, you knew there were places you didn't go.
Yeah. Yes. But it was a fucking tourist. He didn't know where he was.
In all my world travels, like, I don't know if this is just life experience that has taught me this, or it's just like, there's places where it's like, oh, hey, I should not be here. I need to go. You see the landscape, the architecture, the state of disarray, and you're just like, this is not where I should be.
I mean, I don't know where that dude was from, where he like didn't figure it out. But it's also like Cabrini Green
Well, it's like a mile off the Gold Coast.
Yeah, it was sandwiched between nice neighborhoods. So like he didn't, I guess, you know, there wasn't a lot of time to figure out like that fucking like Ralph Wiggum meme. I'm in danger. You know, like
I have, at least for myself, figured it out pretty quick. Like, oh, I need to not be here now.
Yeah. Yeah. But whatever.
Hey, I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah, he's okay. But fuck Chicago. Anyway. You know, I had this is super weird, but I had this conversation with my cousin like a couple years ago before I left New York. And she works in fashion. She was in town for Fashion Week, and we used to always like catch up either at like some event, or I would just take her to dinner on a night she wasn't busy or whatever. And so we were just talking about it, and she was trying to move to New York. And you know, we were talking about, I was like, would you ever go back to Chicago? And we were like, no. And it was like a lot of hemming and hawing of like, I don't think so. I really like this better and whatever. And maybe if not here, then maybe somewhere else. And whatever. And I was like, okay, you know, well, it's there if you ever need it. And you always could go back. And she's like, yeah, but, and it's like, as the conversation kept going, we just eventually just like, I was like, you know what? Fuck Chicago. It's just like, oh my God, yes, fuck Chicago. Like, let's go. Like, yeah. And it's not to say it's the worst place in the world, but it's like, I just felt like I outgrew it fast.
Well, I have a lot of beef with Chicago. Like, I have a lot of love and a lot of beef for Chicago. One of my friends, shortly after I moved out to LA, really pointed out for me, Chicago's a stagnant city.
Mhm.
People talk a big game about wanting to do shit with their lives, and then they don't.
Yep.
They have all this ambition until it actually push comes to shove.
Mhm.
And one of the things I love about LA, no matter what, is nobody moved here just to fucking move here.
Mhm.
Everyone who moved here from another place is actively trying to do some shit.
Yep. Same thing as New York. And that's the main thing that bothered me is like, I graduated college, went back to Chicago for a couple months, and my friends all fell back into like the same shit that we were doing in high school. And I was like, oh God, no. Like, I need bigger shit than what I just had. And like, what I had was bigger than what we were doing before. And this just seems like it's like, okay, well, you went off to somewhere else and now you come home and you do the safe Midwestern thing. And you get a job and then you meet a girl and you start a family and you
move to Schaumburg and
no dream, like you said, no ambition, no sense that the world is bigger. And they pride themselves on like, oh, it's like a small town mentality with a big city. Like, yeah, small town mentality, like racism and xenophobia and like closed-mindedness where like, oh, you read books, you're gay. You know what I mean? Like culture there is the fucking Bears and the Bulls and the Cubs and
the Hawks
and the fuck and not the White Sox because they're literally the losingest team of all time.
Hey,
it's unbelievable. But
I love going to Comiskey for the food's better than any other park.
And it's like I still watch sports and I support our teams and whatever else. But it's like they're also like some of the shittiest owners like across the board in all of sports, and they get away with it because it's again like it's so ingrained in the culture that like even when the team is shitty, people still sell out the fucking arena.
Oh,
so they have no incentive.
The Cubs forever. The Cubs forever.
The Bulls now. The fucking Bears forever, man. Come on, it's literally all of them. It's literally all of them, and the owners have no incentive to do any better with their team
because it sells out. Why?
Yeah, and because the fucking, oh my God, I don't know what other word to use, but the fucking sheeple in Chicago, literally, it's just like you go to the games because that's what you do, and you support your teams because that's what's right. And it's like, nah, man, everyone else knows to fucking vote with their dollars.
Well, you have no other personality traits.
Yeah, exactly, and you have nothing else to do with your time, and you don't know what else to do with yourself. You have no other hobbies.
Drink.
Yeah, drink and watch sports. Yeah,
it's one of those things. It bothers me so much because before adult, I worked in music. I ran a small record label in the mid 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with some really talented fucking musicians, really talented. And I love you guys, but a lot of them, all of them, would not pull the fucking trigger to take a risk from their day jobs to really put in the work to really fucking make it. They had this dream of, oh my God, an A&R rep from a major label is going to discover them in this bowling alley in fucking Bolingbrook.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, man. You
need to put yourself out there.
And this is the MySpace age. Like, networking with other bands and other musicians was never easier.
Mm-hmm.
The example that sticks out in my head so painfully is one of the bands I worked with saw a posting for a gig in the Lower East Side, New York. They did a monthly gig out there. I'm like, I could get us on this gig. I can get you guys on this gig. I, as the label, will help rent a van. I will drive out there with you guys. Let's do this fucking gig. Let's expose another fucking market to you guys. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, it doesn't seem worth it to just go out there for one show.
Okay.
The fuck are you doing?
Yeah, do you want to do this or not?
Right. There's 6 of us. It's an 8-hour drive.
You know what's funny? Like, I actually used to use music as one of the main bullet points to shit on Chicago, which is no, but it's a real thing, right? So like, even though like no one really cares about rock music anymore, but let's say in the like 70-year history that rock music was the #1 genre, right? You had entire waves of different like subgenres of rock that came out of different cities, right? You had like, the folk movement and like art rock movement in the 60s in New York. And you had fucking acid rock out of San Francisco and the psychedelic shit. And you had hair metal in LA, and you had grunge in Seattle, and you had like Texas blues going concurrent with the hair metal with fucking Stevie Ray Vaughan and ZZ Top out of Texas, and you had right,
Yeah.
yeah, nothing out of Chicago.
Oh no,
Nothing. Like a couple of bands ever,
and they left.
And
no, actually, I'll take. No, I'll
50-year history.
I will argue that. Wax Tracks, industrial.
Okay, but not rock. That's not rock. All right. Okay.
You gonna say Ministry is not rock?
All right, no, it is. And the one thing that Chicago can claim is they
and house music. Yeah, house and industrial.
Yes.
Like so,
but but still, it's like, all right, how many bands really made it out of Chicago?
Well, they all left.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the same thing with hip hop, right? So
blues.
Hip-hop,
blues was also,
but it came from the Mississippi Delta. But granted, you're right, fair. So like that's where the record labels were, and that's where whatever, John Lee Hooker and fucking
my first entertainment lawyer somehow owned a good chunk of Chess Records. I'm like, I don't want to know how this happened. Probably some exploitive shit.
Yeah, maybe like someone owed him money and he was like, or you can just give me a percentage. And
the first time I took a meeting in his office is like fucking Chess Records memorabilia all over his office. I'm just like, why does this old Jew owe this much of? Okay, I'm sure he's competent at his job. Let's just get some contracts done.
But yeah, like in the 50-year history of hip hop, like how many people made it out of Chicago?
A handful of people.
Barely. And again, same thing. You had like multiple obviously like originally in New York from the 70s through the 80s, and then you had gangster rap in LA, and you had the whole like southern rap thing out of Atlanta, and then shit just started popping up all over the fuck place. The only people to make it out of Chicago, fucking Kanye and Twista, and they had to fucking leave.
And Chance.
And Chance eventually. Chance was local and homegrown. But it took hip hop existing for like 45 years for anyone to make it out of Chicago. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You have fucking like Detroit. There are so many. You fucking Bone Thugs in Cleveland. Like there are so many. There's so many from so many places.
Well, but also like going back to like how segregated Chicago is. I don't even know, like knowing the Chicago music scene, I don't even know where hip hop would play out.
Yeah, fair, but it's also like I find that part of it is, as much as there's like an indie rock scene in Chicago and like people support local, but it's only really the people in the scene that support local. One of the problems I find with Chicago in general is like they don't support shit until it's already blown up commercially. They wait till things are already popular. They don't create anything cool. They're not on the cutting edge of anything. They wait for something to get commercially viable, and then they buy into it. And until it's literally playing on commercials on TV, they're not into it.
Well, no, I feel you there. I feel you there so hard.
So there's no chance for like new bands to really.
Some of the more successful, like commercially, like monetarily successful musicians, local musicians I knew in Chicago, made their money playing in tribute bands.
Mm-hmm.
And they used the money from their tribute bands to support their original shit.
Sure.
But the audience that would show up for their fucking tribute band versus their fucking original shit was wildly different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just like.
Yeah, it's backwards, dude.
It is.
It's a backwards town.
There's just a human psychology factor to that shit too. Like, because it's so close-knit and so, people know people, people are unwilling to support people they know in their art until like it's commercially viable.
Mm-hmm. So like, I'm not going to go see your like shitty band in the dive bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Till someone of importance is signing off on you.
Yeah. Which is like one thing I do love about here, and especially like my friend group is, somebody's singing, everyone gets tickets. Somebody's doing their comedy show, everyone gets tickets. So, and it's like, it's an excuse to do something. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, like, let's go hang out and do something. But it's not just like, okay, let's go hang out and go drink somewhere, whatever. It's like, it's an excuse for everyone to get together and also support your friend, So like whoever's doing whatever, someone's spinning at this club, everyone get tickets. Yeah.
Well, and it's also just playing it forward a little bit, because on the flip side, most people are going to have some other gig that they want people to come to too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And it's like we're both being supportive of our friends and their, artistic endeavors or whatever it is. And then also like Yeah, and then we get to hang out, and everyone's super grateful. It's just, yeah, it's very nice. I really like my friends here. They're very supportive people.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I remember back in Chicago, someone being like, "Wouldn't you rather just be a big fish in a small pond?" I'm like, no,
No.
you outgrow the tank.
Yeah, that's such a insecure mentality of like, I have to eliminate the competition in order to feel better about myself. I want to fucking rise to the occasion, dude. Like I've always been that way. Like, throw me in the fucking deep end, sink or swim. Like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I get some people want to play it safe, but at a certain point that feels like a cage to me. I would rather die trying, you know?
I am 100% there with you. It's like, why the fuck would you want to live this mediocre fucking life?
And they've done study after study, and like most people's regrets, like on their deathbed, it's not about shit that you did and you wish you hadn't. It's all the shit that you like wish you had gone for. You know what I mean? Like, why didn't I try this? Or I wish I would have risked that, or I wish I'd have took a chance. You know.
Oh, I'm very much alive, and that's my mentality now. Is like, you should only regret the things you didn't try to do, the things you didn't do, because right now, if I go do something risky, do some shit, it's like the worst case scenario, I'm right back where I started.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst case. Is where I'm at right this very moment that bad? No.
Yeah.
I only have shit to gain. What the fuck do I have to lose?
I mean, some people are afraid of trying and failing, but also like,
oh, it's a bruise to their ego. Oh no.
Some people are. I mean, like we said before, they just play it safe, you know. And Bill Burr had a really interesting like quote where he was like, you know, obviously it took him a long time to make it as a comedian, and now he's like on top and has been for a bit. And he was like, you know, some people think you're a failure if you're like sleeping on your friend's couch at 30, and like I think you're a failure if you're like 45 and you hate your wife and you hate your job, and like you look back and you're like, ah, fuck, how did I get here? And like, yeah, you know, but whatever. That's not to like shit on anyone who like has a wife and a kid and a stable job.
Oh no, if they're happy, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, do what you want with your life. But the point is, a lot of people don't.
No, I only show my friends back in Chicago who I know are unhappy. I know want more out of life, and they're just afraid to pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
If you're content, if you're happy with the life you found, just existing, going to bars, whatever the fuck you do, cool. Cool.
Cool. Yeah.
But if you want more out of life and you are not one, fuck. I've been in this industry for, it'll be going on 15 years at this point. I'm 44. I was barely out of my 20s, in my 30s, and had a stable day job. When I was like, this ain't for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was making upper middle class money.
Mm-hmm.
This shit ain't for me.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately was like, oh, I found my people. I found a way to like try to have a creative outlet. I make significantly less money than I did fucking 15 years ago.
You're happier.
Some days. Some days like, God damn, I miss a steady paycheck.
Yeah, but that's also, and that's funny because you came to it organically. I was going to say, like, a lot of people mistake fun for happiness. And that's a huge trap because like momentary fun can also, like, this is what I was thinking about, like in regards to your friends who are like going out to the bars and like, that's a distraction.
Oh yeah.
Like happiness is a long-term thing that you are in general, like you said, content with your life. That, you know, overall you are like happy and in a good place and like enjoy what you're doing with your time on earth. Not like, you know, okay, well, I work this shitty job that I hate so that I can go have fun on the weekends. And like, it's not to say that that's bad, but like fun is not happiness. That doesn't mean that you can't be happy having fun or that fun automatically means that you're not happy, but just some people mistake the two. And I know a lot of people who like accidentally killed themselves having fun.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying like did one dangerous thing one time and whatever, but like people who basically like drank themselves to death.
Oh no, I was going, if I was still living in Chicago, I would have drank myself to death by now.
Yeah.
I was working a job every day and I was closing bars 5-6 nights a week.
Mhm.
I literally had the GM of Exit at one point being like, what do you do for a living? You close this bar. It's a 4 a.m. bar.
Mhm.
I started work at 6:30 most mornings.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Literally, my schedule for the last couple of years I was living in Chicago was go to work, get off work by 1, 2 p.m., sleep for a couple hours in the afternoon, wake up, eat something, go to Exit, drink at Exit till close, go home, power nap, rinse, repeat. It got to the point where one of my friends came to Exit on a Friday night looking for me, and the bar staff's like, oh, he's a Cobra. He won't be here till after 2.
Your schedule.
Yeah, the bar staff knows my schedule.
Yeah.
Like, it was like my second job was to drink at these bars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I realized, like, this is no life. I'm having fun, but is this fulfilling? Is these random hookups in bathrooms? Is this just being a trashed piece of shit all the time making me happy? No, I'm doing this to alleviate how miserable I am.
Yeah. It's a temporary Band-Aid on what is otherwise like you being unhappy.
Yeah.
Not to say you can't do that occasionally, while you're getting towards being happy, because you don't just like, okay, I'm just gonna be happy now, right? Like you got to build a life for yourself.
I mean, I feel like it's a work in progress forever.
Always, because like shit goes sideways and things change and whatever, or just what you want is different now, or you find that what you want and what you need aren't the same thing, which is also like the biggest thing in relationships. But it can be in your professional life or your general personal life as well. Like, yeah, those parameters can change, but like, yeah, but in general, like fun does not equal happiness, and happiness is more of like a long-term overall thing, and fun is temporary.
Happiness is something that you actively have to work for.
Yes.
Fun can just happen at a drop of a hat.
Yeah, it's temporary.
Yeah.
And like, that's not to say I don't have fun. I have a lot of fun.
I try to.
My life is very fun. And my former career working in like liquor and nightlife and bars, like that was very fun. But like, I also like watched it take down a lot of people.
Yeah. Even in your 2 years in this industry, I've watched this life take down some people too.
It can.
I've
also found that like, I think people are smarter about it now. Not that bad things don't happen or that people still don't like get themselves into trouble or whatever. Because again, the same thing. Yeah, it's people who you can tell the difference between people who view this as a career. I literally just had this conversation with somebody the other day who's like new at this and absolutely fucking killing it. And you can tell she is a boss bitch and like on her grind and like despite being younger, like understands how to do this as a career. And she's about her business. It's like, yes, it's fun, but she's here to do a job and build a career and build a name for herself and make money and, do it the right way. And you see the difference between people who are like, oh, this is a fun job and you get to have sex on camera and they give you a bunch of money for it. And like some people then don't take it seriously.
Well, and unfortunately, some people also don't know how to handle at such a young age making so much fucking money.
That too. Or they just don't understand the difference. Like, again, the same thing that we're talking about with happiness and fun.
Yeah.
They see the fun side of it and they're doing the temporary shit. And then, maybe they're partying too hard and they call out of this scene and then they call out of that scene and then they get a reputation for being unreliable. And then what?
And then they're not getting booked. And then all of a sudden, like,
they're like, why aren't I getting booked? And it's like,
and then the rent's due and they're like, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah. And like,
because they've said nothing. They have a fucking Louis Vuitton bag, but they don't.
Yes. Or just the bookings start dropping off and they don't know why. And it's like, because you're not behaving like a professional, you're canceling on people last minute and you're doing all sorts of shit and you're unreliable. And so like, versus if you're here to like do a job and build a career for yourself and like take it seriously. And like, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like it is really fun. It is a very fun job and you should enjoy it.
Oh, 100%. Like I have had the thought in my, like, at financial lows, because they happened. It's part of living in LA.
Mm-hmm.
There have been financial lows like, oh, I should go find myself a Joe job again and have steady income. And I'm just like, but I don't want to give up my backstage pass because the backstage pass is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
The shit I've seen just over the years is just one thing that it's the dumbest thing, but it stands out in my head is like, I went to a party at the Hefner Suite in the fucking Palms. That's a $40,000 a night hotel room.
Mm.
It was an epic party. There's just no Joe job that gets me in that party.
Mm. Mm. I used to throw parties like that. But that's also, my job wasn't a regular Joe job.
Right.
Yeah. Because it was still like liquor and nightlife.
But it's your job to throw that party.
Yeah.
You're not just attending that party, you're throwing that party.
No, yeah. One time I was throwing a party and I was like negotiating with whoever about like the bottles that I needed at my table and how everything needed, and like this was like towards the tail end of the event, and my friends were coming late because at that point it was like, okay, now like the busy event organization part is done, and now we can just like have drinks and enjoy the party, right? My friend shows up and I'm like, talking with her and like, organizing the whole fucking thing, and he's like, dude, you sound like you're at work. And I was like, because I'm at work. Yeah, I don't just get paid to party. Like I get paid to throw parties, and
there's a big difference there.
Like yeah, and it's not even There's
you really can't like let loose, though. Also, at industry parties, you really can't. As much as a party, it's a good time. You shouldn't really let too loose, because
don't be the like sloppy person that's getting carried out of there or fucking and that just goes for anything. Like never party to the point where someone has to take care of you or you become someone else's problem in any way, right?
Well, especially a professional function. Like if it's a house party and it's your birthday or some shit, sure, whatever. Like
fair. But in general, but especially especially at a work function. Yeah.
Because you may end up on fucking TMZ over it.
Yeah. Or, you might have embarrassed yourself in front of somebody who you were trying to get booked with, or whatever. You might have said some shit to somebody that you don't remember, and then
Oh yeah, no, I have definitely had some people said some off the wall shit to me at an industry event, be like, cool. Not that this will make or break your career, but like, I don't feel like I'm gonna book you over this.
Yo, same, except it was somebody who's like very established, and like we've talked a few times, but didn't know each other all that well. And it's like, again, this person is established, so like, it was nothing that would like hurt their career or anything. But somebody said something to me at a party that was just like oddly hurtful, and they don't know me well enough to know that this is the case either. But somebody came up to me and they were like, with the way I think she basically thought that like, I think she was like projecting onto me a bit and thought that like I think I'm the shit and whatever the fuck else. But she was like, she's basically like, oh, with the way things are going, like you men are on top now, but like you just basically like you think women have all the power, and like you think you're happy, but you're not going to be happy for a long time. And I was just like, what? Like, why? Like, what did I do to you that you're wishing me unhappiness for years? Like, we've
probably nothing.
No, we've only gotten along and like just talked casually a few times. It was like, it's such a weird thing to say when you've like had too much tequila and you're like slurring at me. And I think she was trying to be like, girl power, like this is the women's era now. But it was like the way she said it, it was direct. It was at me specifically. And
you Ken Fields are not going to be happy for ever again.
And I was just like, that was really weird and personal, and like also you don't know me well enough to say that like is going to be the case, or that it was just so weird. But I was just like, all right, like I almost wanted to like that's the thing though, I know she doesn't remember. I know she was like blacked out, and again it was like not any even in the end, it's something I can like laugh about. Like she probably wouldn't even be embarrassed by it, but it was like, yo, do you remember saying this to me? What the fuck was that? Like that was so out of pocket, and like, yeah, I don't know.
We're still at work, lady.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But she's also established enough that it's like she doesn't have to worry about like, oh, I'm not getting a booking now because of this or whatever. But like, it's just a really weird thing to say.
Oh, for sure. And I will freely admit that I have been guilty over the course of my illustrious career of being a little too trashed at work events. It's happened.
Fair. But yeah, either way. Not a good idea in general.
Oh, no, it's not a good idea. I thankfully have just outlasted those people's careers who have all the incriminating.
Yeah, fair.
No,
Just stick around long enough.
oh, shit. It was Exotica, Atlantic City, like 2012. I was way too drunk, and I made an ass of myself. And thankfully, 13 years later, very few of those people are still around, and the people that witnessed it like me. So,
Which matters a lot, honestly. In the end, it's also like, yeah, if you have a good reputation and whatever, people will forgive a little bit. But
and the person I did offend in that situation, like, I apologized to the next morning. Like, I was a drunk asshole, and she's like, did so-and-so mutual put you up to this? I'm like, no, that person didn't even talk to me. Like, I'm legitimately repentant of how drunk and how much of an ass I was last night.
Yeah. Which goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because no one asked you to do it. No one made you do it. It's not like yeah.
Legitimately, that person never said shit to me about it. Like,
yeah, because you were genuinely apologetic.
I was generally just like, oh, yeah. Ooh, I overconsumed last night, and
and obviously whatever you said wasn't bad enough that they were like, no, fuck you forever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, all right, you went over the line. Like, cool.
Yeah, no, hell, ran into our party last year. It was just like, fuck, we've both been here way too long. She's like, yeah, we have. Like, because the average career of this fucking shit is like 6 months to a year.
So many people cycle in and out. That's also like, well, I'm not going to get into analogies. This is about to go totally off the rails.
Oh, off the rails? Never.
No, but it's like, I was about to chime in some fucking weird facts. I'm not going to bother. Anyway, so I got a lot of like weird random knowledge in here. If I ever, like, they won't let me on now, but if I ever make it on Jeopardy, I would make a ton of money.
Why wouldn't they let you on?
Because I'm a porn star.
I don't know. They may not know.
They may not know. Dude, they do their fucking homework. They're not letting you on that shit without.
Drew Fox from XBiz was on The Price is Right and slapped Jack Black in the head.
Yeah.
He's also been on Jeopardy.
Yeah, fair, but he's behind the scenes.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I'm public facing. And then it is my face, you know?
What's the worst they're going to do? Is like, no.
Yeah, they're not going to let me on the show.
You could try.
I have been. That's not the point. That's not the point.
Okay.
The point is they're not going to actually let me on. And yeah.
Well, we just need to start a porn star game show.
All right. Yeah.
Are you smarter than a porn star? No.
Oh. Dude, I would fucking slay. No joke.
Yeah.
Like I would, yeah. Like I would embarrass people. It'd be fun.
That'd be fun.
That would be actually, all right.
Get some fucking incels who are all on their shit and be like, welcome to Are You Smarter Than a Porn Star? I just watch you and a bunch of other like really intelligent people in the industry just completely dunk on them.
I talked with, it was Cherie and somebody else. We were talking about like, yo, let's do a porn star orgy with those of us that have like master's degrees. It's like the super overeducated porn star orgy.
Like, yo, what's your advanced degree? That is what will get you into this party.
Yeah. Basically, just do like a shoot with, I forget.
But no, I legitimately want to shoot Are You Smarter Than a Porn Star now with a bunch of you motherfuckers that are well educated.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
People would step up to that. Just do like a web series.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I put that out on social media, the amount of dudes, like incel dudes, would be like, oh, I'm smarter than these bitches.
Yep. Yeah. And I know.
I know a lot of really smart motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be funny. That'd be hilarious.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it. That would be funny. We got to, I mean, shit, you have an audience. We all do, I guess. Yeah. That'd be interesting. Especially with all the like, I mean, whatever, all the followings that like all the girls have, they'd be able to just like pull. I mean, if we put this all over social media, like, hey, do you want to apply to this thing? Yeah. And just do like a quiz show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because no offense to some of the fans out there, some of you are very stupid.
I mean, most people are stupid.
Well, yes, the majority of you. As I like to tell people all the time, if you think of you're of average intelligence, that means 50% of people are dumber than you.
As the George Carlin quote.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like to bring that up all the time.
How stupid the average person is, and then realize that half of the people in the world are dumber than that.
Yeah.
And that's not to say, like, because it's not even necessarily IQ, right? Like, it's not a matter of like how capable some people are. Although at the same time, I could get really into this, and I do. Yeah. Anyway,
well,
but look,
the measure of intelligence is how you apply knowledge, not actually knowing things, how you actually apply it in real world situations.
Yeah, but ignorance also creates stupidity at the same time.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
if you're making uninformed choices all over the fucking place, like, but that's the thing is like, we don't teach critical thinking in school. Also, like, how many people have intelligence able to like to the level that they can make inferences, in deductive reasoning, right?
Right.
Like, I'm outing myself as a huge nerd, even just saying these words. Right? Like, can you figure out things contextually from clues, right? Like, can you piece together a whole? If I give you 3/4 of the thing and then blank, can you figure it out, right? Just based on whatever else is around. Can you, and you see this in society in general, whether you're talking about politics or anything else, like, people can't tell an obvious truth from an obvious lie. And a lot of people even, and the biggest thing there too is like, most people don't understand the difference between hearsay and evidence, right? So like, they take someone talking random shit, just spouting off and saying shit, half of which could be lies, all of which could be lies, versus like, no, here's the money and here's dates, and here's like this crime clearly happened, and the other person's like, just whatever, or even straight up admits to it, and they're like, but that's not a crime. They wouldn't admit to that. It's like,
the fact that on the matter is when people are like, well, it's a fact. Like, no, just because you state it's a fact does not make something a fucking fact.
Well, that's also I forget what the exact quote is, but that like, a lie travels on the world like 3 times before the truth can catch up to it, right? And like, well, yeah, and when people can't tell, like, and the I guess, so what we're getting back to, obviously, like, base intelligence is your ability to like figure things out and apply knowledge, like you said.
Yeah.
But the more ignorant you are, the easier it is to pull shit over on you when you don't have a base of knowledge of like, well, that can't be true because all of X, Y, and Z exists, right? So like, you're easier to fool if you don't have like a base of knowledge to say like, hey, I know that's not true because I've studied history. I know that's not true because like, these are the laws. I know my rights. I know that's not true because like, this is the actual economic picture.
Well, you also have to be smart enough to acknowledge you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
The Dunning-Kruger effect is very fucking real.
Totally. Yeah.
It's just like, motherfucker, you don't know that shit. Like, I'm sure you see this too, interacting on social media, just like the assertions, the amount of motherfuckers who are just like stating things like they're the word of God.
Yeah, confidently ignorant. The combination of like arrogance and ignorance is incredible. There was I can't remember. It's also like old enough that the wording used is totally irrelevant now, but I want to say it's like Bertrand Russell or somebody that like, the saddest thing in the world is that, and I'm going to paraphrase because again, the wording that he used is so old now, it doesn't even make sense. But basically, like, the saddest thing in the world is that like, the ignorant are so confident, and that those who are actually knowledgeable are so full of self-doubt. And like, you see that all the time, because like, anyone who's self-aware, like you said, knows that there's so much more to know, that they're like, okay, well, other people have valid viewpoints, and like, what I know about this subject isn't the end all be all. There's other things.
If I'm presenting new facts, I can change my mind.
That too. Versus someone else who like only knows one thing and they take it as the fucking gospel, and like, that's its own thing.
Well, and that's why I don't argue politics with people at this point, because
it's basically a religion. In this
exactly. And you cannot argue facts with religion.
No.
You cannot argue facts with faith.
Yeah.
It's just impossible.
Yeah.
Like,
it's ideologically driven. It's not a matter of like, okay, let's look at the economics whose plan will actually play out better for the majority of people. Or even if you're cynical, it's like, which plan will play out better for my tax bracket.
Right.
You can see it on fucking paper, but people don't do that. They just literally listen to politicians talk shit, and then they fucking get into tribes and whatever.
Well, yeah, and it happens on both sides of the aisle.
Yes, and as much as I love Alexander Hamilton's life and what he did for the world and whatever, creating political parties was a huge fucking mistake. It was a huge mistake. And like the fact that this country has only ever had two parties is one of the most ridiculous.
Well, we had other parties at points. The Whig
fucking
Party.
Bull Moose Party, yeah.
The Whig Party,
Whigs,
yeah.
Sure.
I don't know enough about political science to know if we'd actually be better off with a multi-party system or not.
Yeah, we would. Yeah.
Well, it's
like the advantage of having parties is that you build coalition, but the problem is like when you only have two parties, that there's no mediator there, and
right. It's us versus them.
Yeah, and it automatically becomes tribal.
But
and it's not just us. I mean, you look at Great Britain, right? They had fucking Brexit, and then they kept electing the same people that caused Brexit, including the person who caused Brexit like 2 people later, and when his career should have been fucking over for doing that shit. And then they still elected like 2 more, and then they're like, oh wait, yeah, this whole fucking party has been the problem. And then they finally, right? And who knows, like if it's too late and the damage has been done and whatever the fuck, right?
Oh, it is too late. The damage has been done.
I mean, with Brexit, but I just mean overall.
Well, overall, the damage has been done. The damage has been done for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
In America, in all reality, in the post 9/11 world, the damage was done the minute they passed the Patriot Act and they gave the executive.
I'm going to do one further. The damage was done. The damage was done the day that we allowed the Republican Party and the Supreme Court to pull a coup on the United States of America. When you count the votes in Florida right now,
the hanging chads?
Al Gore won.
Sure.
Roger Stone, who is fucking Trump's right-hand man, pulled a riot in the polling station in Florida called the Brooks Brothers Riot, and they stopped the counting of ballots. And the Supreme Court ruled, and then Bush's cousin, who was
Jeb was governor at the time.
No, but his cousin was a Fox News anchor. That's the person who declared Florida for Bush. And when you count the actual ballots, Gore won. The Supreme Court voted 5-4 across party lines that it was illegal to recount the votes, which is funny because the entire base of our system of laws in the United States of America is based on precedence. So if it's legal to count the votes once, it is always legal to recount them. And they just said it's not. And anytime anyone asked them why, they literally refused to answer the question. So I didn't mean to turn this into fucking politics to talk about parties, but you know, people think that shit's not possible, and it is. Somebody who was not elected president, took power, was in power for 8 years, took us into 2 wars that we should not have been, at least, I'm going to say this, at least 1 war we should not have been in that had nothing to do with 9/11. The other one, justified for a lot of reasons, whatever. Like, we eventually found Osama. We took out the Taliban for a minute, and then
we evicted them temporarily.
Yeah. I mean, Afghanistan became a mess regardless, but we had reasons to be there.
I mean, Afghanistan was always going to be a mess.
Yeah, but the point is, yeah, the Patriot Act was only put in place because the wrong party and the wrong president was in power in the first place.
Who knows how Gore would have handled 9/11? Who knows?
I mean, they were the people trying to warn the Bush administration that this was the number one threat. But at the same time, like there were also failures between the FBI and the CIA.
Yeah, no, all the alphabets fucked up.
Might have still happened anyway.
Oh, I would say there's a high likelihood that it would have happened no matter what.
Sure.
Who knows how the Gore administration would have handled 9/11?
But the response would not have been, okay, well, Afghanistan is long and drawn out, and we don't really know how to win this thing. So instead, let's go after that guy that tried to assassinate my daddy, and go and take over Iraq. And the point, if people forget this, the point at the time was to literally like colonize Iraq, and Dick Cheney's former fucking company was basically put in charge of like entirely restructuring this society and rebuilding fucking everything. And it was a no bid contract. They were just gifted to run the oil industry and all construction in Iraq. And there was no reason for us to be there in the first fucking place. They had nothing to do with 9/11. It was fucking, yeah, dude. $6 trillion and millions of lives wasted, and a million lives wasted. Yeah, I mean, whatever. But you know, you had people defending it until the end. Until then, they didn't because our economy crashed. And like,
everyone's on board when it doesn't negatively affect them.
Yeah, basically, which is a problem. Which is a problem with most people. Aside from most people being stupid, most people have really low empathy and they don't give a fuck about anything unless it affects them or like their immediate friends and family, which is really sad.
Yeah.
Because like we're a society and we're supposed to have like community and there's supposed to be neighborhoods that exist. And
I don't know if those really exist anymore.
yeah, they don't. They don't. You know, you look at like our parents' generation and like the neighborhood raised the kids. You know what I mean? There were neighbors and uncles and aunties and whatever. And it's like, you know, yeah, now, no, it absolutely community, like you can create community,
but
community exists in friend groups.
Oh, 100%. But
like hobby groups and you know.
You make your own family these days. It's not just like the people you are blood tied to. Hell, I don't like a lot of the people I am genetically related to at this point.
I hear you there.
I think that's also a common theme in the adult industry.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Not everybody.
Some people have healthy relationships with their family. It weirds me out. I don't want to date them.
Yeah, same. You too?
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to have this thing where like if I was dating a girl who was like really comfortable, like they had a really close family, dude, it freaked me out.
I've told this story a bunch of times on there, but like I went on a first date with a girl who was like, my mom's my best friend. And I was just like, this is never going to work.
The like weird closeness. You know what else it is? Like it sounds odd. Like one, I'm a generally observant person, but I think like, you know, growing up in a chaotic household, like you get to observe different dynamics. And it's like, I would see them together and be like, some of this is fake. And like, it's very obvious to me. Do you think you're fooling each other? Like, or are you just all playing along in this weird fucking thing of like, oh, we're a perfect family. And like,
but
I can see all the fucking
It's very Chicago. It's easy.
Yeah, I guess. Or maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. And it's
no,
like,
probably
they're
not.
just, yeah. Like,
it's risky.
Like
it's scary to go out and meet someone new. It's scary to get out of that codependent, toxic relationship.
That's the thing. I'm not scared by it. It's more like,
yeah, you've broken the cycle. But how many people do you know in Chicago that are in relationships that have zero business still being in?
I mean, I don't know that many people in Chicago anymore.
But when you did.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's like a lot of people. But also, I think like, I don't know, whatever. As far as like my adult friends, I like broke out of that, you know? And like, yeah, I don't know. I do see that like our generation isn't necessarily like making those same mistakes. You know what I mean? So we like wait longer to get married if we're even going to get married. And there isn't the automatic assumption of like, oh, you have kids, like whether you actually want them or not, or should, or are going to be a good parent or whatever, right?
Most people won't be.
Yeah. Yeah, statistically speaking. But yeah, so like I find that a lot of my friends actually haven't fallen in that trap.
But once again, we're in LA.
Or back in New York. Yeah. And it's like the expectations are different and people's ambitions are different. Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and people also just have different expectations on life. It's not the early 1900s, the late 1800s, where it's like, oh, no, this is what life expects out of you. And how many women were trapped into getting into relationships, even up into the 70s? It wasn't until 1974 that they passed laws that ended
bank account.
Right.
Women could own their own home. They could get a bank loan to buy a home. Yeah, 1974. Thanks, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yeah, I mean,
so how many women got into relationships and got into relationships they probably shouldn't have been, just to like have that semi-autonomy?
Yeah, which is also why the divorce rate spiked. Like there's the statistic that a majority of marriages end in divorce. That's actually not true. My grandparents' generation, it was somewhere around like 29%.
Is it that high? Shit.
Yeah, but even then, it could also like how many people were in like abusive relationships and they couldn't get it. Again, they couldn't own their own homes. They couldn't. Yeah, like they couldn't have like any sort of like high enough career to support a family.
Societal norms also said, yeah,
you just don't do that. You suck it up and you make it work.
Hey, if you hit your wife a little, that's expected.
Yeah. so obviously it would have been higher had, economics and culture been different. But in my parents' generation, it was like over 70%. And those are the ones who were getting married repeatedly and all sorts of stepkids and half kids and half brothers, whatever. And
yeah, my mom was married twice.
yeah, same. And like, yeah, almost everyone that I'm friends with like has step brothers and half siblings and fucking whatever.
This is a super toxic thing in my mind, and it's kind of a fantasy, but it's just like there's something I feel like kind of emasculating to be 44 years old and not have three ex-wives. Like there's just something like,
Have I fucked up?
why do I not
Behind?
Right.
I'm not just one behind. I'm
Like,
3 behind.
I have 0 ex-wives. Like,
No, but that's the thing. So like the divorce rate now is, I believe, below 20% because like people are
just not pulling the
waiting
trigger.
waiting to find the right person or just not at all, right? So that's not, yeah. I mean, because shit. This is also like modern dating and relationships. Like, it's okay to date somebody for a couple years and then it doesn't work out, right? Versus back then, it was like, oh well, what are you waiting for?
Right.
Somebody actually said that to me once about me and my ex, and I was like, you're kind of putting me on the spot here, dude. But whatever, like that's the past. And in the end, it's like, I'm very happy with my life. I'm
Right.
very happy with my career. And it feels good to like, it just, all of it feels great. Like it's very validating also. It's a very validating industry. You know what I mean? Because it is so much, you're putting so much of yourself out there that like getting that response and like gaining like genuine fans, getting the respect from my colleagues and like, hearing feedback from co-performers about like how much of a good job I do, how much people like working with me. Obviously getting booked up by like, big companies and big directors and whatever, dude. Like it's, yeah, it feels good. It's a nice like positive feedback loop. I'm, enjoying myself on set and with my coworkers, and then we fuck each other and it's really fun and I get paid and the directors and the studios are happy with me, and then the fans like it, and and rinse repeat. Let's do it again. Yeah, like it's very validating and rewarding, and I really love it.
It's awesome. Like,
Yeah,
you're in the right place then.
I wanted to do this for a lot longer because I got into this late.
Well, yeah.
I got into this late in life.
If you were a woman, you'd be a gilf.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Yo, this is straight up like, well, I don't know that I want to out myself this way, but like I'll soften it. I'm one of the older guys in this industry.
Well, you're one of the older guys in this industry who hasn't been doing it 20 years.
But even period, I'm one of the older guys in this industry.
Oh, Tommy Gunn's in his 60s. So I don't.
What?
No, he's not in his 60s. Oh, that might have been.
Is he?
That might have been liable. But Tommy's definitely in his 50s.
Yeah, fair. I know there are a handful of people older. There's also not that many dudes in the industry.
Tommy Gunn is 57, so he's almost in his 60s.
Wow. Damn. But yeah, like, again, there's also like not that many people in this industry, period. So, I mean, guys, like.
Well, that's why I like to laugh about with girls all the time when they're like, "You're such such." I'm like, no, they have just slept with the same 20 people a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And like, well, to me, I was having dinner with Seth a while back where we were talking about this.
Seth Gamble for the people at home.
Sorry. We're talking about this new project that we're about to start tomorrow. Which reminds me, I gotta go home and shave my beard off.
Womp womp.
Yeah, I literally spent all day shaving my chest. Look at this fucking shit. I'm fucking bald.
You got a little razor burn around the belly button.
I know. Nothing a little makeup can't cover, Yeah.
The makeup girl work harder. Damn.
Dude, it's a dab. Come on. Also, it's not like I did it on purpose. Yeah.
Well, obviously. I want razor burn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a little pink.
Why didn't you just nair that shit?
Oh, this is so much better than like an hour ago. Dude, yeah, that's what Seth said. And I was like, I tried that shit before. Yo, I made a video of me shaving my chest, by the way, and the fucking first pass that I did with the razor, you couldn't even fucking see. You literally couldn't, and a on a pile of fluff floats down.
I mean, you should have done this.
See a fucking.
You should have done this like the 40-year-old virgin and like fucking waxed.
That's what I did. I did a K and an F into my chest, but it's like not that legible, but it's there. I mean, I tried. Anyway, yeah. We have fun around here. Anyway, listen. But yeah, so like for a while, I thought I was in a like bad position in this industry because like everyone else who is like anywhere around my age and is like playing those like older like whatever daddy roles, right? Like they've been at it for a while, so I'm putting myself up against like veterans who are like proven and have been doing it for a long time. And then like he was like, no, you're in a really good position because like a lot of those dudes are like on their way out and like you're just getting started. So like a lot of the roles that would have gone to them are going to start coming to you. And like, and I do actually know that's true because like some friends of mine are like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this. Like whatever, I'm just like, obviously there's a place for them forever. It's a matter of like,
well, I feel like some of it maybe just them being self-conscious, them being worried about like I'm old.
Well, some of them do want to like start families and shit, and or honestly just do something else with their life. Like they've been doing it for a while, and they're like, "This is fun, and like the money's been great, and like I enjoy myself, but I want to do other shit now." And like to me, like I already did other shit, and I came because like someone asked me a while ago, like, so what comes after porn? And I was like, well, I'm not saying like I would never do anything else, but like I'm not doing this to make money quickly and then get out. Like I had a career before. Like I chose this.
Oh, this is not.
Yeah.
Unless you're an 18-year-old girl, this is not the place for fast money.
Yeah. And also like, I don't view it as like, oh, this is a jumping off point for whatever.
Like what would it be a jumping off? Your DJing career?
Yeah, exactly. Or just like, okay, well then I'll invest in real estate or whatever, and just
you could have definitely done that from.
I'll just take money and do.
You could have definitely done that from bar and nightlife. Much easier than putting yourself out there.
Yeah, I put my face on. Yeah, I put my fucking dick out there on the internet, and yeah,
right. You definitely could have made the bartender nightlife guy to real estate agent pipeline much easier without fucking people on camera.
Yeah, than going into a fucking bank and asking for a loan and like, are you a stepdad?
Right. like I know you from somewhere.
Yeah, where are you? Yeah.
Could you show us all your fucking 1099s for the last couple of years? Like, oh.
Yo, wait, that came up once. So I still have not told him this. I'm gonna see Karen this weekend probably, I think. But so my actual first AVN, this is weird. My actual first AVN was as a bartender. I was in Vegas for a bartending competition, and the last night we were there coincided with the first day of AVN. So we were at the old Hard Rock, and
what year was this?
2015, 16.
Oh, I was there then.
Yeah,
I was definitely there.
I want to say it was 16.
Oh, I was definitely at that AVN.
And whatever. So we started, like, we were out partying. I started talking to some of the girls, got somebody's phone number. And my boss was like, hey, I think I know that dude. It was Karen. I was like, yeah, dude, you know his dick. He's like, no. I know all the porn people are like in town right now and it's the convention, but like, I swear to God, I know that dude. And I was like, buddy, I know that guy too. Like, you know his dick. Like maybe you have met him once randomly at a bar or some shit, but like, nah, dude, like
you know his penis.
That's Karen Lee. Yeah. Yeah, it was Karen. And I'm not trying to call him out, but I'm like, I know him too, man. Yeah. Cause like I've seen him fuck on camera. Like that's what this is. But
it's wild how sometimes you misappropriate where you know people from in your brain.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, I've seen you a lot. Like, I know you from somewhere.
Well, I've seen that before. Like, this sounds weird and also like, fuck him. And this is he's a fucked up dude. But I saw Ron Jeremy at fucking LaGuardia Airport once, like sitting on the floor, like back up against the wall, charging his laptop. And like I walked by and did a double take and I looked up and every other dude walking by is doing a double take. So I was like, yep, that's him. We all just collectively figured that out. Yeah. I'm not seeing things or like,
Nope,
Some
that's
dude looks like Roger. Every dude walking by, what? No, I didn't see him. What are you talking about? I don't know that guy. I thought you looked like somebody I know. You know what I mean? Yeah.
well. If you'd lived in LA longer, every time anyone went into the Rainbow, they would run into Ron.
Fair.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Ron also does not like me, so
No.
I'm not.
Now he wouldn't even know you. He's apparently completely fucking senile.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully, if he did, I don't care if he disliked me, because every time I go into the Rainbow, I'll be like, the only time I go to Rainbow is when people from out of town want I want to go to the Rainbow, and every time it's like, so we're gonna run into Ron Jeremy, and he's going to give me a dirty look. Just FYI.
Yeah. Which, apparently he's a terrible person.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, I love that people that dislike me turn out to be monsters. It's just
right? Thank you. That's a compliment.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I actually love that. Yeah. It's like people who have good taste like me.
Yeah.
People who are terrible people. You know what that is too, though, is like when you're a good person, you become a mirror to other people, and they there's this weird resentment thing where you show, you know what I mean? They see in comparison that they're not.
Oh, I wouldn't get that did with it. I was very much a drunk dick to Ron in 2011.
Yes, but that's you making jokes and whatever else. And
oh yeah, no.
Off. Yeah, that doesn't mean you're not a good person. You know what
I mean? I've been on record about this a bunch of times. I don't believe I'm a good person. I believe I'm a person. I don't believe people fall into good or bad. I believe people are fallible human beings and have moments of being good, moments of being bad.
I agree with that. However, I would say it's like a ledger. You know what I mean? Do you do more good than you do harm?
Right. Are you mostly in the black or mostly in the red?
Exactly. Yeah.
I will agree with that.
Yeah. And I don't feel like you are a person who causes a lot of harm.
I try not to. But
I mean, that is the thing, though, because we are all capable of good.
Oh yeah.
And this is something
I'm definitely the villain. There are some women. There are some women who I've been romantically involved with who will swear to you on a Bible that I am the villain.
All right.
And they may not be wrong.
Also, there's two sides to every story, but I'm sure that a lot of their gripes are correct, and from their view, you were terrible to them.
I have been a selfish piece of shit in my life.
Yeah.
Some of it was me reacting poorly because of trauma. Some of it was just fucking insecurity at the time. I have made mistakes in my life.
Yeah, and here's why I say you're a good person, because if you don't look back on your younger self and cringe, that means that you haven't grown. And if you're growing, that means you're trying to be better, not necessarily every day, but in general, better this year than you were last year and whatever, But the same thing that we were talking about with intelligence, right? That most people are stupid, not just because they lack the capability or whatever, but they don't necessarily use it, right? Or they're not taught how to use it, or they're not given the circumstances to be able to use it, because let's be honest, economics play into it a lot, right? There's definitely some Einsteins running around there, in the fucking gutters in India somewhere, that isn't being given the opportunity. But same thing with being good, right? We all have the capacity for good, but MLK has a quote that doing the right thing and doing the hard thing are almost always the same thing. And most people, at the very least, just stick to their own lives, and they stay quiet, and they don't want to make waves and whatever. And so actively doing good means pushing back against evil or preventing harm. And most people don't do it. Most people are neutral. But again, if you want to quote MLK, staying neutral in the face of oppression means that you're on the side of the oppressor, right? So most people aren't good people, because doing good means you actively have to be doing good. And most people are just well, I don't have hateful views and I don't actively commit harm, but they are complicit in a lot of harm. And or at least they're just not actively doing any good acts. And it's
well, then by that mindset, I'm definitely not a good person. I'm not out here doing charity.
Yeah, fair. But you're good to the people around you and whatever. It's the same thing. That's the same conversation about what's more valuable, national and global politics or local politics of like where can you actually make the most difference, right? But like when people say that like, oh, people are inherently good, I'm like, that genocides happen, right? And that the majority of any given population have to at least like tacitly go along with it for that to happen.
People are actively selfish.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't, but I've had multiple people be like, oh, you're a good dude. I'm like, no. I don't think I'm a good dude. I think I'm just a dude. I'm a dude living in the world. I'm reacting to stimuli. I have definitely the villain in some people's stories. I'm definitely the hero in others.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a matter of perspective. I try to live my life without harming other people. Like that's my goal. My goal is to go through life telling you, hey, do whatever the fuck you want with your body as long as you're not harming other people.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do with your life without harming other people. I try to live by the same, but my inaction at times, I'm sure, is harming people by it could be. I don't know.
Yeah, but at the same time, like you just being self-aware enough to know that you're like not always your best self or whatever.
Oh no, I'm a super flawed human being.
Yeah. Yeah, but even that is a massive step in the right direction. Again, the self-awareness thing that we were talking about before, that like most people just assume that they're good people, and it's like, what do you actually do? Yeah, the fact that you're
like, how can you objectively look at yourself in most people's cases and be like, I'm a good person?
Yeah,
like,
but you actually consider it.
Yeah,
which is like more than most people do.
So by
whether or not you still joke around that you think you're a piece of shit and whatever else, you know what I mean?
If we're being honest, I don't think I'm a piece of shit.
I think you're neutral.
I just think I'm a fallible human being who has trauma, flaws, has been unjust and horrible to some people in my life. Not in most cases intentionally, but as trauma responses, as defense mechanisms, as many other like justifications. But at the end result, it doesn't matter how I justify it. I still was really shitty to a lot of people over the years.
But you also have grown since then, and like
one would hope. One would fucking hope.
Fair.
Well, push comes to shove, we'll have to look back at it.
Yeah, which apparently you do. They proved the other day that your life really does flash before your eyes right before you die.
Oh shit!
Your entire life.
Dope. Well, then the goal definitely is to make more memories so that like that flashback lasts long. Maybe we're in the flashback right now. We don't know.
Oh, I mean, all of this could be a simulation. Like,
dude, they left the keyboard a long time ago. Whoever's played this game of The Sims just like went AFK and just left us in the pool.
Yeah. Is this real life?
Is anything real? Like, in the grander scheme of things, every last thing we experience is just a meat sack in our brain, or meat sack in our skull, interpreting electrical impulses.
Yeah, we're a skin bag full of chemicals reacting. Yeah. And like,
but how I perceive you look is my eyes, my ears, and my other olfactory senses interpreting electrical impulses.
Yeah.
So just because like I like, hey, this is how Ken feels looks. The person next to me would be like, well, that's how Ken feels looks, but it could be slightly different because our brain.
Well, I'm like, I have very mild color blindness, so even that, like, my perception of the world is slightly different than other people's. But even what we were talking about before, as far as like, contextually piecing things together and whatnot, your knowledge base, like, and your cultural background affects how you interpret things and filter things. Any new experiences then filtered through your past experiences, right? So like, like one, just from a biological and philosophical and whatever, like quantum mechanics sense, like we are the universe experiencing itself, but like, yeah, to your point, that we all experience it differently. And then everything else from that point on, we experience differently because, it's all filtered through our pasts and through our knowledge base and through,
just how the, blob of meat and salt
through our various, like brain chemistry and being neurospicy and how that affects all of it, which I've seen up close, which is really interesting for people who have like actual genuine mental illnesses and like how that affects Like you see an event happen and you're both there, and then someone interprets it entirely differently.
Why does it make me so hard?
How did you get to that point? And the thing, and even the fucking reasoning that they say like doesn't make sense.
Oh, for sure. For sure. It was just like we were both at the same thing. And we had wildly different experiences. It's just like when it comes to criminal trials, why eyewitness testimony is wildly unreliable.
You know, they don't admit it anymore.
Really?
Eyewitness testimony is not a thing anymore. They allow expert witnesses of like, oh, this person is an expert in forged checks. They don't do eyewitness testimony anymore because it's so flawed that the prosecution doesn't even bother bringing it anymore. It's like, oh, did you see this person? It's like, it could be that. Like that happens so often now that like it's very easy for the defense to just like
poke holes in it.
Yeah. And it's because
I don't claim to be an expert in criminal prosecution.
No, but it's like not only about like the immediate interpretation, but like our memories are malleable and they change over time. So and they degrade over time. So like
for sure.
By the time you go from like, oh yeah, of course I witnessed him like robbing the fucking convenience store. By the time the fucking trial comes, like
someone else could bias it. It's a whole a great example is like when we recorded last one. I know we had a good time. I don't remember a fucking thing we talked about.
No, and I was trying to think about that when you were like, oh, what are we talking about? I was like, we cover good shit, but we also just like went off the rails. We were talking about like Hollywood for a minute and shit. And, like,
yeah.
Movies and how they're produced and whatever.
Going off the rails on this show happens every episode.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's why I love it. But yeah. But I don't remember other than that when I was like, oh, like we got way off topic. It was about like, yeah, whatever. It's about how Hollywood goes about producing movies and whatnot. But
for sure. And we will turn that into cartoons at some point.
I actually really like that. Yeah, we should. And if it becomes like too expensive or too time consuming to do cartoons, I would do the fucking overdub shit. That would actually be hilarious.
Oh, we could do both.
Just like, yeah, kung fu movie style. Like
dubbing.
Yeah.
Again, you got to be out here in 3 minutes by the time you set yourself.
Okay.
So we're going to get you out here. We're going to call last call on this motherfucker.
You actually said that, which
I thought you said you were the one. You said
I have.
You blocked yourself out to 10.
So yeah, but it was arbitrary. But my point, you were like, I'm not going to keep you long because you've got filming in the morning, which is very true. And this is actually, I've been a part of 2 other features before, but I was not as big of a role as I am this time. And like, so the days weren't as long as they could have been. And also like the other 2 were much more like straight ensemble casts. This definitely has like main characters in it. So like there's gonna be long days, but I'm excited for it.
Hell yeah.
It's like the biggest project I've ever worked on. So
it's exciting. When you come back on, we'll have to talk about it.
Okay. Or not, because this isn't necessarily talking about work.
Oh, fair.
Yeah. But I probably will have some shit to say.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll be like, my career's going well.
Yes, that was a great project. And yeah.
But we're going to call last call. Well, let's get you out of here so you can be well rested and all, glowing and pretty for the cameras tomorrow. Before you get out of here, tell them where they can find you on things.
Yeah, so that's changed this last time, which came
there.
So we're like, when you were like, hey, will you review these footage? Is there anything salvageable? Yeah. So my Instagram is KenFeelsXO. My sex positivity platform that's about to start being a lot more active is allthefeels_us, also on Instagram. I'm not plugging X anymore.
Blue Sky?
Sure. Like bluesky.com/KenFeels. Is that how it works? Whatever. I'm Ken Feels on Blue Sky.
KenFeels.bluesky.social.
Sure. And I'm Ken Feels on Pornhub.
The most important one.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Come get me. I'm about to start doing a lot more on like YouTube and all sorts of shit, but we'll get to that later. And you can find all that shit on my socials. So go to Instagram, find me. Everything else is coming from there.
Okay. Ken, we will definitely do this again for a 3rd time or
please.
2.5 time. I don't know.
Yeah, right. If we do it, we're done. Yeah.
But until next week, drink up, motherfuckers.
Bye.